Welcome in to the 48th episode of the Southern Boys Sports Podcast. My name is Drew Holmes. My co-host Ben Clay.
What's going on, guys?
Man, it looks a lot different here on Southern Boys Sports. We've got ourselves an in-person setup for the first time in history. We're here. We're live from Ben's Casa. You can call it the basement, the garage, whatever you may want to call it. We found ourselves a little nook. We've got episode 47 of the pod playing over here. Got some cool jerseys in the back, nice helmets up front. Ben's got the laptop. I've got the iPad. We're hydrated appropriately. We're ready to go. And, man, first in-person episode here. Well, first with a big setup here for episode 48. We got to start off the episode the same. Ben, how's this past week been for you, buddy?
It's been good. I was at a church camp recently, so it was fun to get out of there and just take the week up in Baghdad, Kentucky.
Oh, man.
Interesting place.
Yeah.
But it was a good week, played quite a bit of dodgeball,
Okay.
We won like a whole church tournament thing for it. So yeah,
Okay.
we're
There you go.
pretty top tier. And then it was just a good week overall and excited to have this week is like my first week off this summer with nothing. So I'm excited to have that.
Yeah. Been playing a lot of golf recently as we kind of jump into the summer. It was a rainy hailstorm kind of in the middle of the day today. Went out to the course, started pouring down rain after my first tee shot. So that sucked, but then we got back on. We were able to play just a little bit. And yeah, man, it's been a grind of a summer already. A lot of work to do, but we got baseball going on. We got the podcast, but we know everyone else has a lot of things going on. So if you're listening, you may not see the setup. Great setup. Just take our word for it. Kick back, listen to the episode. Should be a really fun one. And if you're watching, we do enjoy you. Thanks for the support on episode 47. Now, let's break down the episode here. We have got some SEC news. We're obviously going to talk about all the things that happen in the SEC, whether it's the 8-game schedule, whether it's the permanent rivals, and the spring meetings that went down in Destin, Florida. So those things will be broken down here on episode 47. We've got the top 10 mascots in college football, some fun off-season content coming your way to kick off the episode. So we kind of did it. If you watched our iconic helmets episode where we had 10 through 6, we agreed on, me and Ben mutually agreed on. And then we had
5 through 1.
5 through 1 are all separate. So that's kind of the idea here for episode 48 as well. We've got 5 mascots. 1 through 5 are all kind of on our own mind, right? We picked those out. We're going to debate on those just a little bit. 10 through 6, we all agreed on. And those lists, again, if you can't keep up, at @so_boy_sports on Twitter, at @southern_boy_sports pod on Instagram. Check out those graphics. Now, after we get to the mascots, after we get to the SEC news, we've got 3 of the toughest college football schedules that we want to break down for you. We scoured the internet, looked at some of the toughest schedules this season in college football. We're here to break it down for you. We're here to talk about those tough schedules, and it should be a blast. So, Ben, any early objections before we jump into our top 10 mascots list here on the 48th episode?
I'm never objecting. So
yeah,
no.
I always ask for objections. There's never objections, but here we go. At number 10 on the list, we have got Aubie. Aubie the Tiger coming from Opelika County in Auburn, Alabama, the mascot of the Auburn Tigers. Ben, great pick here. We agreed on Aubie here at number 10. We've got some pretty good mascots here ahead of them. Shouldn't be too debatable. I know a couple other Tiger fans may not be too happy with this pick, but maybe our boy Beatty Noon will be sleeping sound knowing Aubie's a top 10 mascot in college football.
Yeah, I'd give him the top 10. It's kind of just a classic overall. One of those SEC just personal mascots. For me, whenever I think of a mascot, I always think back to NCAA 14.
Yeah, the mascot
matchup.
Mascot mode, yeah.
I always think about that. Aubie was always a great pick, and I feel like I'm going to say that again at one point in this segment right here. Talking about NCAA 14, but I just think Aubie's a great pick right here.
Yeah, no doubt. Aubie, great pick at number 10. Solid mascot. He's got the recognition. And sorry, I stumbled on my words there, but yeah, mascot mode definitely may be brought up just a little bit here in this segment. Let's get down to number 9 on the list. Ben, your team, repping them back here.
Mm-hmm.
Baker,
of course.
Mayfield. We have got Boomer and Sooner coming in at number 9 on this list. Absolutely sick picture right there.
That is tough.
And a pretty good mascot duo, I'd say, going down in Norman. So another solid pick. Again, I would say there's definitely 8 mascots here above these 2, but I do like them. Fun, energetic, and I got a little tidbit about one of the mascots at least. But I'll let you get your tidbit on and your favorite team, Ben.
You know, it's hard for a team to pull off having 2 mascots and it actually works.
True.
But in my opinion,
True.
I think this one definitely works.
Yeah.
So, and I love the Boomer and Sooner. You know, it's a classic fit together. It's just something that I think everyone enjoys. Like my cousins, they live in Oklahoma, right? Their dogs, Boomer and Sooner.
Really?
So
Their
it's
name
just,
Boomer and Sooner?
Yeah, it's just a lot of things that you can put together, and it just fits. And I like the mascots.
Yeah, Die Hard sounds like over there naming your dogs after them. But have you ever seen the video of one of them on a scooter and he like slams into the pole?
Yes, I have.
Have you ever seen that?
I
Yeah,
have.
it was like a super low quality video.
Yeah, it was on like Barstool.
Yeah.
I've seen it. Yeah.
So that's what came to mind when I thinking Boomer and Sooner. Obby came to mind for mascot mode, but every mascot's kind of going to bring something new. Obviously, they bring the energy. Pretty cool stadium there at Oklahoma as well. So they come at number 9 on the list. Again, get at us at the socials at @so_boy_sports, at southern_boy_sports pod. Go at us, debate, agree, do whatever you want. Slide into our DMs, pause, and we'll be happy to talk. Number 8 on the list. You know, when we were talking about it and we were kind of preluding, how we were going to talk about this mascot or whatever, and I was making the graphic. Ben was like, man, I hate to talk about this team again because we've been 24/7 coverage on this program all summer long. But it's the Colorado Buffaloes. Ralphie the Buffalo in Boulder, Colorado, man. A new regime, but the same good old mascot. They got the live action Buffalo there. Crazy scenes of people trying to hold it back, crazy pictures of that stuff. So really, really fun, really recognizable. Obviously, they're the Buffaloes, got a big live action Buffalo. Live action mascots are really my jam. I think you'll see that as we get kind of deeper into this list. I think Ben would agree, but live action mascots always super, super cool. And Ralphie's no different for me, Ben.
Yeah, of course. It's a literal buffalo, which is perfect for the school.
Sick,
I wouldn't expect anything else from the University of Colorado.
Yep.
So I just love the pick here. I mean, and I think it's just a classic overall. Like we were saying, the videos where there's actually like running down a buffalo. It's just great to see. And so I like the pick here as a live mascot.
Yeah. Number 8 on the list. A really fun pick here in Ralphie. Again, here on Southern Boys Sports, trying to lighten the mood to kick off your listening pleasure here. We got some fun top 10 mascots. We had top 10 most iconic helmets. So not as heavy, like churn out the content type of stuff, but some fun, lighthearted top 10 list. And we're going to continue this series as we get deeper into the summer as well before the first kickoff in week 0. But I digress. Number 7 on the list. I don't know if we've got a name for this one. And I don't think I have the thing pulled up, but it is Stanford. It's the tree over at Stanford. I cannot see that, Ben.
I see it. Go down a bit more.
Yeah.
It says the tree. Right there.
Right there. Yeah, I didn't capitalize it, so I couldn't tell. All right. The graphic. We're working on the graphic, Ben. Break down the tree for us.
The tree. It's literally a tree. I mean, it's a guy wearing a costume. That's a tree. So I think it's just overall like iconic here. And I'm gonna bring it up again. NCAA 14.
Yeah, definitely some fun moments.
Why would you not want to play football with a tree? I think it's just something beautiful to the game, and he's a mascot that.
There he is.
He follows every sport. You'll see him at a basketball game. You see him at a football game.
Yeah.
Something you really can't do with like a live buffalo. Yeah. So I think the Stanford tree is up there.
Stanford tree is really like, it's so stupid if you really think about it.
It works.
But it definitely works. I think it's just kind of ironic and also just kind of clever that it's such like a high, like mentally powered school, such a smart school. And it gets such like a crazy looking tree mascot. Yeah.
Their mascot's literally a tree.
I like it. Honestly, if I was a Stanford fan or any other person viewing here on social media, I may disagree here a little bit, but I like the tree here in the top 10 list at number 7. And definitely 6 mascots above it. I may have slid Boomer and Sooner in there, but I think the Stanford tree at number 7 is not bad.
I think it's very interesting how the Stanford Cardinals mascot's a tree.
It's Cardinal,
sorry.
It's like a cardinal tree though.
Yeah, I know, but it's just so weird.
They could have executed it better. Yeah.
You're in California. Well, I think you could pull off a better name. Like the Stanford
Bears,
Sea Lions.
Sea Lions at Stanford. View our podcast. Change the name. No, the tree is in there, top 10 for sure. This next one, I would have fought for it to be top 5. I know a couple Tennessee fans who are going to be watching and listening who may disagree with us here.
I don't think so.
We've got Smokey at 6, right? I'm a Tennessee fan. Got the jersey right here, Mr. Camara. He's obviously in some unfortunate trouble with the law right now, but I digress.
Got Baker up there too.
Smokey's in there at number 6. Pretty good mascot. Tennessee's success. They got the live version of Smokey. I like the costume version. Old reliable. He's been around for a while. Really just a solid mascot and a really, really fun home atmosphere in Neyland Stadium. Really just ties it all together, in my opinion. Obviously, Ben's never been to a Tennessee game, so that's maybe why it's inside of top 5.
A lie. I've been to Tennessee, Oklahoma.
At Oklahoma, though.
At Tennessee.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you can stop with that one. I definitely have heard Rocky Top every downplayed. But Smokey just kind of defines Tennessee. So I think it's very fitting. I'm not really understanding why they're the Volunteers and their mascot's a dog.
Yeah.
But everything you see about Smokey is something you see about Tennessee. You know, the gray color of Smokey, the gray jerseys, it just all fits the smoke gray jerseys. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And so the Smoky Mountains, I mean, everything just works for
Fun
it.
play on the Smoky
Everything
Mountains.
just works.
Yep.
So I think it's just a very nice little mascot there. And the dog, I love dogs, so I'll take any dog live mascot any day.
Yeah, big dog guy. I was, we were at the driving range, and there's a cat at the driving range.
You hit a cat?
No. Oh. God, could you imagine? No, we were at the driving range, and there's a cat that kind of like creeps around. So there was a what you could call a crazy cat girl. She was probably like 19 years old.
Oh, no.
And I was with Weston. So Weston, if you're listening, hopefully we don't have to edit out this story. So he's walking, and she's like, "Hey, can I get your phone number?" Lady's got on like cat pajama pants. She's like, "Do you like the cat?"
Like the ears too?
Yeah. Like, no, I don't know about the ears. Maybe not the ears. The ears would be a little much, but no. She had on like the cat leggings, a blue shirt. She asked him if she liked the cat, and Weston said, "No, I'm more of a dog guy." And then he proceeded to tell her no. So I think this really just ties it all together. Me and Ben, both big dog guys. Weston as well, obviously. And not much of cat people. So we've got two cats on here because of Obby. And then we've got one cat in the top 5, right?
Yes, we do.
One cat in the top 5. So more dog people over here at SBS. Let's get into the top 5. This is where the list kind of differs for both of us. This is kind of the meat of the order right here. Ben, I'll kick it to you for your number 5.
My number 5, it's someone that you might have at number 1.
Okay.
But I've got Osceola and Renegade. I think the difference for me is it's a mascot with tradition. And it's not really the mascot.
Yeah.
More the tradition.
For sure.
So I think, but like the mascot, it looks so cool. It's a Seminole and a horse. And I mean, that's just quite intriguing. And he goes out in the middle of the field and stamps the flag. I mean, that's just something that's absolutely amazing to see. And it has definitely a lot of tradition and coolness behind it.
Yeah, I agree. I'll wait. I'll hold off on this
opinion,
tradition and mascot, but I agree. Definitely a super cool tradition, super sick looking mascot for FSU. And, the only thing I would tweak about FSU is, if you're an older listener, maybe you can relate with this one just a little bit more. It's a song by John Anderson by the name of Seminole Wind. I'll link it in the description. It goes, "Blow, blow, Seminole wind." I want to say 1992, maybe 1991 on that one. Don't quote me.
Nowadays.
Yeah, don't quote me. Yeah, true. But I think if you add that in there, maybe make a little remix out of it, the younger kids would like it. Our generation would dig that. But only thing I would tweak about it at Florida State.
That's fair.
And let's jump to my number 5. My number 5 on the list. Me and Ben kind of flipped our. I won't spoil. My number 5 is the Nittany Lion over at Penn State. Really cool picture of him here. Talk about mascot mode, Ben. Talk about freaking mascot mode. This guy used him a lot in mascot mode. I'd say Obby, the Nittany Lion, and then the astronaut from Toledo were kind of my top picks usually.
I used the Boilermaker a lot.
Okay, the Boilermaker. Yeah, that makes sense. There was in the Leprechaun from Notre Dame.
It was either Navy or Air Force too.
Yeah.
They had like a cool astronaut guy. I don't even know what he was. He was like an alien astronaut. It was so cool.
Maybe that's the next. Maybe we post that over on Twitter. Who's the
if we did a live stream of that. Live stream
mascot mode.
NCAA 2024 Ben versus Drew mascot mode.
Maybe we do that once the episode comes out. We're here in person with a TV, so you never know. Things could happen. Content could increase. But I'm trying to see. I don't think we have their helmet up there, but obviously really cool tradition at Penn State. Really like the mascot. He's got the scarf. A lot of the fans love him as well. So really like the Nittany Lion here at number 5. Ben, I know you got him a little bit higher. So let's kick it to your number 4.
Number 4, it's a dreaded rival, but I got to go with him. I mean, you think back to Bevo versus Uga. What a classic
matchup.
I love that. And they're kind of like that on the list too. I'm gonna be honest. Bevo versus Uga for these spots, and I got Bevo at 4 because I mean it's literally a Longhorn. It fits Texas so much. It goes exactly with their name. Bevo. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know where the name is.
No,
from.
I don't know either. I'd have to do my due diligence and research.
I would have to figure that out. But it's just a super cool mascot, and it's another one of those great in-person mascots.
Yeah, love Bevo. Love him a lot. And obviously, I'll get to some of these mascots later on in my list. He's definitely my top 5. Like Ben said, fits him perfectly. Big old Longhorn with that burnt orange all over him, and he's definitely had some fun times, whether it was fighting Uga or whatever it may have been. You got the
it's the most Texas thing of all time.
Okay.
The first is that Bevo is named after an amber-colored non-alcoholic beverage named Bevo.
Okay. There you go.
And the other is that he added an O to the plural of the form of beef.
Oh, it's like beefo and bevo.
So it's like
I guess
beef,
he kind of combined it, yeah.
And then bevo. So they literally named a Longhorn after its own meat.
Its own kind in a non-alcoholic beverage.
Yeah.
The more you know.
What a Texas thing.
Yeah, that is a Texas thing. Let's get to my number 4 here on the list. Maybe debated. The rivals of the Tennessee Volunteers, the Georgia Bulldogs. I got Uga here at number 4. If you're listening, stay on the road. Don't punch the steering wheel. Stay in control here. Stay with me.
I mean,
I like Uga. He would have got absolutely manhandled by Bevo. He would have got absolutely manhandled by a couple other things that I have higher on the list. If we're talking head-to-head fight, Uga doesn't really stand a chance, but he's got tradition. I really like the dog. I know a lot of the fans like him. They've ran through a bunch of Ugas, and it's super, super classic stuff over at Georgia. In between the hedges, the costume version of I think it's Harry, the bulldog. It's like the costume version. Not a huge fan. Uga though, I will slide in there at number 4. So Ben, I'll save you the spoiler on this one, and let's kick to your number 3.
Yes, for my number 3, it's someone you have a number 4. I've also got Uga as well. He's just like it's a classic person. I just love the way that he it's worked out for Georgia. Uga, at first I'm gonna be honest, I had no idea where the name Uga came from.
It's UGA.
I know. I had no idea. After being in Stanford, though, it's super cool to see Uga and how the fans interact with him.
Yeah.
He's got his own doghouse. They have a whole corner for the deceased Ugas, and I mean, it's just super cool to see how they keep on inbreeding the animals. So it's kind of weird, but it is something cool that they do about carrying on the legacy, not inbreeding. But it's something cool that they do, and I think it's just something that the fans love, and I think fans of college football love Uga, and it's just a classic for me.
Yeah, I would agree there. I would agree. Put him at number 4. Ben has him at number 3. Let's get to my number 3 here on this list. Bevo. Bevo comes in at number 3 for me. I thought about putting him just a little bit higher on this list. I had to slide 2 more in front of him. I had to slide 2 more up there, but I like Bevo. Ben, you talked about him. I kind of touched on him as well. Just that burnt orange, the Longhorn. I think it really fits. Super cool live action mascot. Again, big sucker for live action mascots. So I had to slide him in here at the top 3 mascots in college football. At me. At @so_boy_sports. Ben, let's kick to you. Number 2.
Number 2. It was your number 5. It's the Nittany Lion.
There you go.
I love this mascot. There's always so many videos being like, I've never seen another mascot do this when he's actually he's doing push-ups through the tables. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Climbing the tables. Yeah. It's just an energetic mascot. They always have a dancer.
Yeah.
It's like a dancer as well. So I mean, he's a do-it-all. I wish there was a live mascot of a Nittany Lion.
That would be sick. Cool. That would be sick. Put a scarf on him.
That'd be tough.
That would be kind of cool.
That'd be tough. And I think it's just a super cool mascot overall. And I think number 2 is definitely deserving of his culture and the tradition around him.
No doubt. Let's get to my number 2 here on the list, Ben. probably the only one you've got left, the Oregon Duck, number 2 out of the Pac-12. Let's go out west to talk some mascots here, eh? Oregon Duck, number 2, top 3. I kind of went Midwestern on you. Kind of went Midwestern on you there, but no. Let's go out west here. I like the Oregon Duck here. Absolutely sick mascot. They had a whole uniform designed after him, which is absolutely sick. Not to mention the duck looks really cool. And, you definitely got to love what the Oregon Ducks done for college football. They made a whole shoe after him. They put the face on a bunch of stuff. And, got to love it. Ben, you're number 1.
It's the Oregon Duck. I mean, this guy's a classic. He's overall just a beauty. And I think it's just very cool for people to see. Can we go back a minute? Can we go back a minute? I just want to look at something from this cellar dweller video here. Let's just watch the start of Old Drew. I swear, did the camera fall? Oh, no, you just adjusted it.
I just adjusted the camera.
Mid-thing. That's just a beauty right there.
A little bit
you can change it all you want. The duck is just a classic. Another animal that, I'm going to bring it back to NCAA 14, dude. I mean, that game really carried my, college football love. My love for it. And the duck was a main piece of that, Back in the day, I used to love Oregon, I feel like every middle school kid did.
Yeah.
You get the Oregon-colored socks, It's just so cool to see. And he's just such a classic, I loved watching Pac-12 games last year with Oregon because they'd be Oregon would be down 3-45, and the Duck was playing cards. And it's just he's just always something to look out for. So I think it's super cool, and I got the Duck at 1.
Give me Osceola and Renegade at number 1 again. Missing that Seminole win from John Anderson. Absolute staple if you want to talk Seminoles. But, hey, super cool tradition. Absolutely sick mascot. I think they made a thumbnail not too long ago. We talked about the future of Florida State and A&M in an episode. And I know they made the front cover of that one because super aesthetically pleasing. I think it definitely fits the Florida State culture, just the overall mascot. Absolutely phenomenal. I think they did an excellent job. They're easily my number 1. Oregon Duck is a somewhat close second, but I think Osceola and Renegade, you get something you're not going to get from a lot of people. This is my favorite mascot in college football. And, hey, what do you think? What do you think of the list? Again, check it out on Instagram. Check it out on Twitter. We've got more important college football things to get to here on episode 48, but we have got a fun rest of the episode planned for you. Ben, are we ready? We're going to jump into some SEC news.
Mm-hmm.
Meetings down in Destin. Let's shift our focus from the mascots, the field, to the business room, right? What's going on in these meetings? How's Greg Sankey handling things as the SEC commissioner? We've got some fun things to touch on. You ready to make the jump over to some SEC news?
Yes, absolutely.
So a lot of people on Twitter, obviously, kind of clowning the SEC, kind of clowning Greg Sankey and all the coaches for allowing the 8-game schedule to continue. I've been waiting to talk about this on the pod. I've been really, really excited, kind of working myself up and preparation for the episode to get to talk about this SEC news because it's something that I'm really excited about. The SEC obviously sticking with the 8-game conference schedule with Texas and OU coming in 2024 instead of going to that 9-game conference schedule like the Pac-12, like the Big Ten are doing in other conferences around college football. A lot of people aren't happy about it. A lot of teams voted against it in the spring meetings in Destin. Let's start with that, Ben. Let's kick it off with that. I want to get your take on this 8-game conference schedule. Obviously, your Sooners coming to the SEC.
Yeah.
What's your take?
I kind of think it's an interesting thing to do. They're focusing on trying to get one permanent opponent and 7 rotating. So you keep that one classic game in there.
Yep.
And I think it's interesting because either way, I feel like there's some teams that have SEC especially that have 2 rivalries.
Yeah.
So if they do go with this one permanent opponent, teams like Georgia, where you don't get to play Tennessee and what's another rival? Auburn twice, you have to pick one. Except for the year where it doesn't rotate and you actually do end up with both.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting how they're going to work this. And I think for a team come new to it, it'll be nice because you get to play all the teams in it. But one thing for me is I would say it means almost more money for the league. You get more interesting matchups you hadn't seen yet in the SEC much because of the divisions.
Yep.
So I think it'll bring a new light to the SEC and it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, you get to see Tennessee A&M every once in a while. I know we played them this year. I know we played them back in 2015, 2016, I want to say, but you get to see those matchups. A team like Tennessee, Now the door's open for a team like Tennessee because now you don't have to play Alabama and Georgia every single year, or even a Florida when they're in their, when they start playing really well. Mm-hmm. That can be a dangerous stretch, right? You got Florida, Georgia, and Alabama, not to mention if you're playing the SEC West opponent in LSU. That's a gauntlet right there, right? So I know a lot of fans and other conference and team fans were upset about that kind of easing up on the SEC. But here's the thing, and here's my 2 cents on it. The SEC is such a tough and heavy schedule, right? Even a team like Missouri, I think Missouri can go out and compete in the Big 12 if they move to the Big 12. I think Missouri can go out. I think they can win a good amount of games in the Big 10 as well. They're having to play a team like Georgia. They took Georgia down to the wire. They're having to play a team like Tennessee. Every once in a while, they're having to play a team like in Alabama. So it's really, really tough on teams like Missouri. And people almost forget how that's not a terrible football team, right?
Absolutely not.
So that's a really competitive game for, a Kentucky or for an Ole Miss to go out there and play a team like Texas A&M. The games are always going to be close. The games are always going to be interesting. Not to mention, you add Oklahoma, you add Texas. You're playing 8 games against some of the best teams in college football, right? You got Alabama in there. You've got Georgia. Those are 2 college football playoff teams. A team on the rise, maybe at that level in the next 2 or 3 years in Tennessee. A team that's been to the college football playoff in Oklahoma. A team that is really hyped every single year, whether they perform or not. They're a solid football team, and that's Texas, right? And you got other solid teams to kind of fill out the rest of the conference. Not to mention if LSU continues to, rise toward the college football playoff, A&M and Ole Miss are always competitive. So competitive spirit is all across the SEC. I honestly, I know SBS Michigan, love my boy V, love the SBS team. Paige is doing a great job there, but he tweeted out, I'm loving that teams in the SEC are going to play UT Chat in September when we have to play Penn State. And it's you get to play Penn State in September, and then you get to play Northwestern, Rutgers, and Iowa in freaking November when Tennessee's out here grinding out against Alabama in the middle of October, and then Georgia in early September, not to mention 2 SEC West teams who were really, really tough. So any Michigan fan who wants to talk about strength of schedule can walk out this way. That's the way to the door in Ben's basement, because I'm not hearing that. So not a huge fan of the 8-game schedule. For competitiveness, I would love to see a 9-game schedule implemented. I wouldn't be against it, honestly. But since it wasn't implemented, I'm not against the 8-game schedule, Ben.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, some coaches have been against it too. I saw that Nick Saban,
yeah,
he was an advocate for the 9 because but for somebody as a fan, I'm kind of scared of that. That's automatically 9 games you could lose.
Well, yeah, that's what makes it more competitive.
It's crazy because it's just going to be super intriguing games. But now with the 8, it'll open more up to the Power 5 level of teams who you can play now. And so I think it'll be interesting how it works out. But also, we're in the SEC. You never know what is going to happen.
Yeah.
If I told you this year that going into it, Tennessee with Hendon Hooker was going to go 10-2, Chad Withrow said he's going to be doing backflips in his backyard.
Yeah, seriously.
It's the SEC. Anything can happen. And so I'm excited for the future of this, and all these interesting matchups are going to just be great quality football.
We've yet to mention that they're just taking away divisions. So it's really top 2 teams are going to go play in the SEC championship. Playing only 8 games and playing 4 games against, whether it's Tennessee's this year has got UTSA, Virginia, UConn, and Austin Peay. So 2 of those games are Power 5 game and then a really good group of 5 team in UTSA. Those are 2 pretty good games, and UConn and Austin Peay should be very winnable. Virginia is not great, but it's a Power 5 team. They're in the ACC, whatever. You look at a team
Didn't you think Virginia was
– No, Virginia might go 0-12. I'm not saying they're great, but I'm saying they're definitely – they're a Power 5 opponent nonetheless. So, the overall quality of the conference is going to improve by so much. Playing an 8-game conference – taking away the games where Tennessee plays Alabama and Georgia, they lose one of those in their 11-1, and then you lose to South Carolina, so you're 10-2, right? So let's say they didn't have to play Georgia that year, and we didn't have to play Alabama that year, right? So we're probably riding high, coming in pretty hot. Not to mention we play South Carolina. Maybe we end up winning that game, and then we got Vanderbilt as our key rival. So the overall quality increases because you don't get as many of those huge trap games for really good teams. But I think the rotating 7-game schedule shouldn't be bad. I think people are definitely overreacting at the 8-game schedule, calling these SEC teams scared or whatever. I think it's great for the conference. I think you're going to improve quality. The no divisions is a little ballsy. I'm not going to lie. It's going to be tough.
It's going to be interesting.
But you got to do what you got to do. So, Ben, any closing takes on this SEC news? Really, really interesting stuff this offseason out of the SEC.
I mean, it's kind of interesting. Like for me, you just kind of start to realize as an Oklahoma fan, we're going to have to start playing Georgia and Alabama. And that's something that I'm going to dread it, but I'm going to love it at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think it'll just be great for the sport. And even though this SEC thing might seem weird at the time, I think in the future, people will get used to it and understand it better.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we'll see if people continue to call them scared. I really like what the SEC is doing right now. My family was just in Destin, and I stayed at home because I had to work and I had a couple other things going on, and they were in Destin while the meetings were going on, and I wasn't down there. So lucky for us, the hurricane that's coming down there just missed us. So I guess that is the bright spot of that. SEC news. Had to touch on it here in episode 48. Did our due diligence there. Touched on the SEC news. Again, get at us over on socials. Tell us what you think about the new SEC or comment here on YouTube. Like and subscribe while you're at it if you don't mind. Ben, you ready to get to some tough college football schedules this year, man?
I'm ready.
I'm telling you what, Oklahoma's not on there. So we've got 3 teams with some of the toughest schedules in all of college football this season.
Okay. What was that slight shade?
We've got a team. You know what? I won't spoil. Ben, who do you want to touch on first? Your pick.
Let's go with the team that I was actually excited to talk about. I'm going to go with Florida.
Florida. All righty.
For me, it was just a thing where I just love their out-of-conference schedule. It's not even like but they have 2 crazy interesting games that they planned in the like back then. They were like, oh, these should be interesting games. But it's going to be actually super intriguing. Now you get Utah. Great game last year. Was that week 1 or was it – that was week 1, right?
Week 1, yeah.
I remember I was sitting in the hot tub in Gatlinburg watching this game, and I was like, oh, man, I cannot
– Good vibes, yeah.
I remember we did our predictions. I was like, I need Utah to win this game.
So we need to keep up with that this year.
We should.
We need to keep up with our record and all that because we got lost in the shuffle.
I'm pretty sure I won last year.
Yeah, you definitely did win last year. Yeah. All right.
And then Florida State, a great game. You love the Florida matchup there. And so I just love these 2 out-of-conference games. Really, this schedule has 2 surefire games and 1 game that I would expect them to win. The rest could literally be anybody's game, especially for a Florida team that a bit shaky on. You get Tennessee, definitely could lose. Kentucky, Devin Leary, see how he adjusts, could lose. South Carolina, 100% could lose. Georgia,
probably gonna lose.
Losing.
Yeah.
Arkansas, great game. I think that could be
Florida's going to be a banger.
I think that could be a top game of the year.
It's going to be a good game.
LSU will most likely lose, but it's the SEC. Missouri,
winnable.
I would say those teams are pretty comparable right now. But I think it's a schedule where, okay, you get 2 automatic wins. The rest are SEC or difficult games. And I love that. And so I think it's just a very interesting schedule, and these Florida fans might not enjoy the second half of the year.
No, the schedule is absolutely brutal. I mean, you touched on the out-of-conference schedule. Utah, they gave a run for their money last year. Obviously, Anthony Richardson was able to make some things happen, and they won that game, bumped them up to number 12 in the rankings. Hard to beat a team twice. This year they go to Utah to take on the Utes. So Cam Rising healthy, that whole team kind of healthy. I mean, Utah picks up Micah Pittman in the portal. They got Devon Vele over there. They're absolutely stacked on the offensive side of the ball. They got some good cornerbacks over there as well. So I like Utah. I think they lose that game. And then Florida State, if they're hot, if their playoff chances are up in the air in week number 13 or the last week of the season against Florida, that could be an absolutely crazy game in the swamp with Florida trying to knock FSU out of playoff contention.
Yeah.
Even if Florida State's lost 3 games, that's always a really good game. So that's going to be tough. I mean, you got to bounce back. You try and beat Vanderbilt at home this year. Nothing is guaranteed in this schedule, and that's why, I mean, a lot of the teams, when you look at lists of toughest schedules in college football, yes, there are tough schedules, but it's also a lot of teams who are just unproven, right? Florida, we don't know what's going to happen at quarterback. We don't know how Billy Napier is going to do in year 2. They lost a couple pieces, obviously, on defense, and that hurt them, right? So it's really a huge question mark team in the Florida Gators this season. The schedule is really tough because you don't know if they can go out in there and beat Kentucky at their place, or if they can bounce back and try and avoid the sweep to Vanderbilt in back-to-back years. Then you play Tennessee and Georgia, which are 2 tough games, and you got a tough out-of-conference schedule. So definitely a stacked-up schedule for Florida. You're in the SEC, so like Ben said, nothing's really set in stone yet. But Graham Mertz or Jack Miller, whatever's happening over at Florida, they're going to have to get it figured out in Gainesville. But for sure, Florida's one of the teams with the tougher schedules in college football. Wanted to touch on them. Once we get closer to the season, we'll do like expectations for conferences and record predictions and all that. So we won't give that here in episode 48. But look ahead to the schedule. They've definitely got one of the tougher ones. Wanted to put them on tough schedule watch here in 2023. Ben?
Yeah, for sure. Moving on to our second team. We're moving on to the Big Ten.
Big Ten, baby, Big Ten.
Interesting football over there, and we're going to go with the Michigan State Spartans. You know, the first 2 games of the year, they're definitely going to be let's get comfortable games. You know, you get Central Michigan and Richmond, teams that you definitely should 100% beat.
For sure.
And then you go right into out-of-conference game against Washington.
Yeah.
That is not a friendly game.
Tough 3 games.
And then you get Maryland, not friendly at all. Talia, his senior year.
Yep.
He's going to definitely be out looking for some stats so he can pad his draft stock maybe. I think I'm looking forward to watching him this year. Iowa, interesting team.
Not a gimme. Great
defense, but not a gimme. Cade McNamara coming in there. We're going to see what happens.
Yep.
The Rutgers, you should win that game, but it's Michigan State. They went 5-7 last year.
Lost their QB and their best receiver.
Yeah, so. not guaranteed at all. Nothing is guaranteed. Michigan
lost.
They were losing. But it is a rivalry game, so you never know.
I mean, Michigan you can count as a loss, I'd say.
Ohio State and Penn State.
Yeah, Ohio State and Penn State.
Indiana, great. Most of the Big Ten teams, they're either good defense, suck at everything else, mid, or they're just super good.
Or good, yeah.
And so it's kind of interesting, like Rutgers, terrible. Minnesota, mid. Iowa, Indiana, mid. But so is this Michigan State team.
Yeah.
So having to play all these teams is not friendly towards their schedule, and I can 100% see them going under 500 again this year.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see them going under 500. And the mark of an unproven team with a tough schedule is looking at that and saying, okay, they could literally go 2-10.
They could.
Like if they literally could go 2-10. If they beat Central Michigan and Richmond, they could lose every single game left on that schedule. Do I think it'll happen? No. But you never know, right? My cousin he was at a visit at Michigan State. He got to meet Mel Tucker. He got to be a part of that atmosphere. Apparently Mel Tucker's a really cool guy. The whole program's really, really sick, and I'm sure it's a great city. So I like Michigan State as a program. I like Mel Tucker as a guy. I don't know about as a coach, right? We'll see what he does here in year 3. No Peyton Thorne, no Keon Coleman, obviously, so they're going to have some guys step up. But
that is something we haven't touched on. Keon Coleman to FSU.
We did touch on that.
Did we?
Yeah.
I think you did.
Oh, maybe I did. No, we definitely talked about it. That was like episode 44 or something.
Really?
Yeah, I think we definitely.
44 was Newberg, and he gave his prediction.
Oh, yeah, then 45 was over-under win total locks, and maybe we didn't. Yeah, I know we definitely did.
I don't think we did.
Anyways, Keon Coleman at FSU is going to be absolutely dangerous.
I love that. I love that connection with him and Johnny Wilson.
And then, I mean, Michigan State, like they've got some tough away games, right? You got to look at the road games. Obviously, they stay at home against Michigan and Penn State. Those are huge, huge home games, right? You don't go to the big house. You avoid going to Penn State and Happy Valley. Great pull right there.
Yeah.
You stay away from 3 road games straight. You only have one look at consecutive road games. That's at Ohio State and at Indiana in back-to-back weeks. So at Ohio State, really tough game. Obviously, probably going to lose that one, but you go at Indiana. Not an easy environment, but definitely a winnable game there in the Big Ten. Go in. You don't have to play back-to-back road games, say, against Michigan and Ohio State. So you get the better of the 2 pulls there. You get 4 home games to open up the season, stay at home in East Lansing, get to know the team, like Ben said, get comfortable. So definitely not a terrible pull for Michigan State. But again, Washington as an out-of-conference game definitely sucks. Not to mention you play 3 of the best teams in the Big 12, the Big 10, and Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan. So tough pull there for Michigan State opponent-wise, but the home and away splits aren't terrible.
No, it's definitely leaning towards their favor, other than like Ohio State.
Yeah.
But for the games that you have a chance at and you want to win, most of them are friendly to you. Like Maryland, I really hope you can win that game.
It's big.
Washington, that's a game where maybe you could sneak it out. The home field advantage maybe gives you that one.
Yeah.
Nebraska,
tough.
But at home, I could expect it. But really, I'm gonna be honest. The other one is not that friendly. All the rest of them.
Yeah.
Iowa, you need that win. It's away. Rutgers, you need that win. It's away. Minnesota, you need that win. It's away.
Yeah.
Indiana, same thing.
Yeah.
So the home and away thing, having home games against Central Michigan and Richmond is normal. I wish they would have put it somewhere different in that schedule.
Yeah.
So it's just really not friendly to them, and their schedule kind of just it's set as though the AD thought they were going to be good. So it's kind of interesting what they're going to do this year, and so it's kind of an intriguing schedule.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the schedule, they've got like the TV listings, like what some of the games that they know about are going to be on and all that.
They've got some good.
Can we talk about the Peacock stuff?
I have Peacock, so I'm not really complaining.
But a lot of people are really mad about that.
Yeah.
Like I know V, the Michigan and
is Central Michigan week 0?
No, that's week.
How did they get a 6:00 spot on FS1 against Central Michigan?
There's probably nothing going. Big Ten and Fox have got that thing, so they're probably locked in. But Peacock, though, Peacock, Michigan and Eastern Carolina play on Peacock in week 1. Think about all the Michigan fans who don't have Peacock. That's ridiculous.
But like, who you really care about that East? Carolina?
No, I'm just saying to put stuff on Peacock is just like a huge money grab because you're just saying, yeah, pay for Peacock, you can watch more college. It's genius if you're on the freaking business side of thing, you're making money for the NCAA.
A bunch of TV deals.
Yeah, seriously. But for the fans and people, fans of teams who want to watch college football, putting stuff on Peacock isn't not ideal. Not to mention Michigan State is the team that has got Michigan
State is going to be on Peacock too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Washington, Michigan State is a quality football game, and you're making people pay for a subscription of freaking Peacock to get it.
I already have it. I love it.
I have Peacock.
I watch The Office on it.
Yeah, I was about to say I have Peacock for The Office. King of Queens is on there. Phenomenal sitcom. So I've got it for those two things, but maybe college football sneaks into the rotation, and they have like Sunday morning baseball and stuff like that.
Yep,
so
I do that.
For the fans that don't have Peacock, it definitely sucks. For me and Ben, we're on the safe side of things, nonetheless. So there's Michigan State's schedule. They've got that. They've got the. Who do they? They play someone on a neutral field. They play at Ford Field against Penn State, I believe, or Ohio State. They play in Detroit against.
I
one
think
of
it's
those
one
two.
of these away games.
Yeah, it's yeah. Well, it would have a start. Well, they haven't changed it yet. They play at Ford Field. Look that up. They play at Ford Field against somebody.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to figure that out, but
just look at Ford Field, Michigan State.
Okay.
We got it on standby.
Because I saw Florida had one like that too.
Yeah.
In IAA field, something like that.
That's TIAA Bank. That's like the Jacksonville thing.
So they'll play there.
Penn State against Ford Field. That's right. Yeah. So that's the final week of the season. That's rivalry week. So that should be a fun neutral site game from Mel Tucker. Know a lot of people weren't happy about the neutral site stuff. Yeah. Not a huge fan, but honestly, it's the Big Ten. I'm not really in depth going to be watching that game. If it was Tennessee, I may be a little bit more mad about it. But let's get to the final schedule of the night, Ben.
All right.
Let's wrap up episode 48 on a pretty good note. Let's go out west. Let's go to the Pac-12. I think we're making pretty freaking good time right here. I think we're at 45 minutes.
Love it.
The Washington Huskies out of the Pac-12 with a let's say hard schedule, tough schedule. We're not ranking the top 3 toughest schedules in college football. We're not saying these are the 3 hardest schedules. We thought 3 intriguing teams with 3 tough schedules. That's what we thought here from Washington. We just touched on them in their game at Michigan State on Peacock, whatever. But Boise State, Tulsa, and Michigan State at a conference. Boise State, always a solid group of 5 team. Tulsa should be a win at Michigan State. So 3 not gimme games, I would say, but I expect Kalen DeBoer and Washington to come out, win that game. I like Washington. I like Michael Penix. But, you look at it, you're playing Oregon at home, but then you go at USC and at Oregon State. You play Utah at home, but you're at Arizona. So, you've got some tough home games. You have 1 back-to-back road stint, and that's the 28th of October and the 4th of November at Stanford and at USC. So at Stanford, you should go in and win that game. At USC, though, that's going to be a really, really fun road environment on November the 4th. So got to go in, win that swing game, and go in there, put yourself in playoff contention. That's going to be a big playoff implication game if I had to guess in early November. So, Ben, I'll give you your 2 cents on this Huskies 2023 schedule, baby.
Man, I like the schedule. I'm wondering if you want to just head up to Washington for one of these games. Man, Arizona State, Washington, $15.
Yeah, I know.
Steal.
Take a flight down there would be the most expensive part.
That would be so true. But the out of conference schedule is it's fun. You got Boise State and Tulsa and Michigan State and Wazoo.
Yep.
So I kind of like those games. One's a rivalry. One's just an interesting Power 5 matchup that could go wrong in their terms, but could also be a fun game to watch. It's also that one's on Peacock, so
Yeah.
that's that. But the main reason for having a tough schedule is just the Pac-12 is good.
Yeah.
And it's going to be difficult to play some of these teams. Oregon State at home, that is the definition of a trap game.
They're at Oregon State.
Or at Oregon State, sorry, is a definition of a trap game.
For sure.
Not really in trap in terms of.
Well, you got USC and Utah 2 games before
Right,
that, so you're probably going to be a little bit burnt.
And not in terms of trap game, as Oregon State is a sneaky good team. They are a good team.
Yeah.
But in the fact that if Washington has any chance at a college football playoff, Saturday, November 18th, Oregon State could ruin those chances.
Yeah.
Talking about a South Carolina-Tennessee game where Tennessee, they're just broken then.
Yep.
And so I think that's something that could definitely happen. You get Utah at home. That's a big game right there. You get Oregon at home. 2 big games at home, but you have to beat USC on the road. That is the only way they can make college football playoffs is you have to beat USC at home, I would think.
Yeah.
And so for this team to have to play very good Pac-12 teams and a good Michigan State team and a decent Wazoo team that I enjoyed watching last year.
Last year's Apple Cup was a banger.
I enjoy watching that team. So it's games that are all good games to watch, and they're tough games for Wazoo or for Washington. So I think it's a well put together schedule for them to attempt to make the college football playoffs in terms of strength of schedule. You know, where someone looks at this and they're like, they went 11-1 and won the Pac-12 championship.
Yeah.
That could earn them a spot. So I think it's an interesting schedule and it fits in well.
Yeah, the thing that works in Washington's schedule, and really any Pac-12 team who's vying for an opportunity to make the college football playoff or the Pac-12 championship, there's no divisions anymore, right? So it's just 2 best teams out of the Pac-12 are going to make the Pac-12 championship. And this year, you really kind of put UCLA out of the picture. I would say it's probably Oregon, USC, Utah, and Washington. Maybe you want to slide Oregon State in there if they have a sneaky good year. And don't count UCLA out, right? Dante Moore could come in and absolutely rip up the Pac-12. So Pac-12 is really open. I'd say 6 or 7 teams got a chance. Colorado, if they somehow come out and get really good, maybe they have a chance late in the year. But this Washington team, their toughest stretch is going to be USC, at USC, home against Utah, at Oregon State. So like Ben said, could be a potential South Carolina game at Oregon State. We went to Willie B last year and got the absolutely freaking brakes blown off of us. So us being Tennessee, by the way, I'm not a player. I'm just, a diehard fan. I refer to us as us.
That's fair. I would do the same.
Yeah. So at home against Utah, not a gimme. At Oregon State, not a gimme. Home against Wazoo, not a gimme. That was a fun game. Cam Ward and Michael Penix Jr. battling it out last year. So always going to be competitive, fun games in the Pac-12. That's what makes the schedule tough. You got Oregon as well in there early in the season. So nothing's guaranteed for Kalen DeBoer in Washington. A lot of people have pretty high expectations for them to come out, maybe to make the college football playoff with the Pac-12. You remember that lady we talked to on the bus in Orlando who's a Washington fan? She came down from Seattle to Orlando.
Yes, I did.
I kind of forgot about her. But she kind of snuck up on me. She was like
a diehard.
Yeah, no, she was like, yeah, my Washington Huskies. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. And she was and then named like their whole friggin' starting offensive line. And I was like, hey, there you go. So rooting for her. I think her name was Cindy. Rooting for Cindy's.
No way that was her name.
Rooting for Cindy's Washington Huskies here in 2023 that we met on a bus here in Orlando. We're here in Nashville. Great episode in person, Ben. Wrapping it up here. Tough schedules. Michigan State, Washington, Florida. Look out for all 3 of those teams to have an absolutely brutal run here in 2023. Ben, what a time here on episode 48 of the pod. We're in person. We've got all the lights. We've got other Southern Boys Sports episodes running in the back. We got the helmets up front, information in front of us. Great first episode. Really set the tone for the kind of the new regime this summer here for SBS.
Yeah. I love this. Love the setup. Love being in person.
Yep.
It just everything feels way better, and I'm just looking forward to the things we have in the future.
Yeah, should be a lot of fun. Make sure to go follow our socials at @so_boy_sports, at @southern_boy_sports pod over on Instagram. Hey, if you're listening on Spotify, give us a 5-star review, like and subscribe. Would love to see that subscriber count go up over on YouTube. Give us a like on episode 48. Go check out some past episodes as well. We talked Pac-12 realignment last episode. We have some over-under win total locks you may want to take a peek at before the season starts. Help your betting needs. SBS has you covered all offseason. Make sure to go check out those past episodes. While you're at it, UNIVERSITYTRADITIONS.BIZ. Visit their website. Code SBS15 at checkout to get yourself a 15% off discount on your purchase. Here's the College Station edition of the hat. Really, really cool stuff. Got the snapback on there and a lot of variations for your school. And I know they got some sweet tee hats as well. Really cool stuff. Code SOUTHERNBOYS at laststandhats.com as well will get you 10% off your purchase over there. Officially licensed Texas gear, whether it's UTSA, North Texas, Stephen F. Austin, Texas, Texas State. They got everything you need. Go support GJ Kinney and TJ Finley over at laststandhats.com. We would appreciate it. Use code SOUTHERNBOYS at checkout. Ben, any objections for a very solid episode 48?
Yeah, love the support.
There
love
is
everything.
There is an objection. There is an objection for the first time.
Because something that made me fear for my life today happened. So please support us. Maybe we can buy some new lights. Drew bought some.
Oh my! I thought you were
lights.
serious. I was like, holy smokes!
Drew bought some from home lights today.
Yeah, Christmas lights.
We decided to set them up. I reached to grab the lights and I was electrocuted. It was a tingling sensation went over my body. I was at a loss for words. He has some live wires just sitting out, waiting for disaster.
Oh, what a disaster! The baker jerk just flew up in flames.
Terrible.
HR nightmare for the two-man HR department here. So
right, we really have a debate about that one, but it just appreciate the support. Thank you all for everything, and I'm done.
I really thought Ben was going to pull out, like he almost got like T-boned on the road or something serious. Like I had something happen that feared for my life. Yeah. I was like, oh my God. No. Me and Weston almost got robbed. Did I tell you about that?
From what?
Listeners,
like a dude?
We were driving down the road. It's kind of like a shallow, it was like 10:30. We're going to Walgreens. Red flag. Yeah, red flag. I
there you go.
We were driving down the road and a car, like the car in front of us kind of pulled out and then literally straddled the double yellow line and just sat in the middle of the road. Right? I thought she was going to let us pass, but then she just sat in the middle of the road. So there's two cars behind us. The second car back honked, and it was a big old like diesel truck with a big old grill in the front. And they pulled to the side, like my driver's side window to the left, rolled down the window, and I literally thought we were getting boxed in. Like, I'm not going to lie. Weston was like, turn it, run, go, 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 go. So I whipped it, went straight, got to Walgreens safely, ran into Hayden Campbell and Charlie Marshall in there. I forgot to tell you about that. So two buddies we saw. There were some interesting people watching, as Josh Newberg would like to say, going on in that Nashville Walgreens. But no, it was a fun episode 48. Make sure to come back next week. Same time, same place, episode 49 of the Southern Boy Sports Podcast. It was a blast here on episode 48. As I said, same time, same place next week. See you, boys.